Playdead's duo of puzzle platformers started in 2010 when Limbo was first released on the Xbox Live Arcade, and then 6 years later they followed that up with Inside, and they've both left quite a lasting legacy in the gaming world. So I wanted to take a look at both of them and ultimately decide which one is the better game, just for fun of course, but also mostly just to take another deep dive into these two games that I continue to be mesmerized with to this day, and two puzzle platformers that I don't think have ever been quite matched aside from each other. I'm going to separate this into two videos for no real reason other than I like the idea of having each video focusing on each individual game, and also I'm kind of struggling a bit for content at the moment, but that's nothing new. But I do really want to showcase each one as much as possible on their own and kind of keep them as two separate videos of appreciation for them because they're both master works, and I think pairing them up all the time can take away just a bit of that brilliance that they both have on their own. But yeah, so let's just jump in and decide once and for all, Limbo or Inside, which one is Playdead's best? So like I said, Limbo was initially released in 2010 on the Xbox Live Arcade, and it was actually the third highest selling game on there that year, earning around $7.5 million in revenue. The game is a 2D side-scrolling puzzle platformer, and you control this unnamed character who you navigate through this ominous black and white underworld-like setting as you try and help him avoid consistent death traps, spiders, and even other kids that are trying to kill him. And the key focus for everything you do here is with the physics. You have to play with the physics and determine how to use them to help you get further, and also to know when they might hurt you, and you gotta work your way around all these many different obstacles that you're gonna come across. There's also little things that you have to watch out for, like knowing that you can't fall from too high up or you're gonna die, knowing that you can't swim or you're gonna die. It's also a pretty slow moving game, and it has little to no music in it at all, which always gives it this eerie and haunting feel to it. It is usually considered a horror game, and I would also put it in that category because the black and white aesthetic of it plays into the horror elements a lot, but there's also so much dark imagery here. The spider is creepy enough on its own, and it will probably be too much for some if you seriously do hate spiders because it's persistent and makes ugly noises all the time, but that's pretty early on in the game. The real dark stuff is when you see these other kids who are also mysteriously down here for some reason, who are either dead in cages or hanging on a noose, and it's a really bizarre thing to see at first, because the game does sort of lure you in with this kid at the very beginning of it, and it almost gives it this innocence to everything because, you know, there's no way it can be bad if it centers around children, right? But I think what has obviously always stood out the most about Limbo is the visual style of it. It pulls you in even if you're not a huge fan of black and white because it's different and it works extremely well in the world of this game. I think it's a different thing if you're not a fan of black and white movies because you're kind of stuck in that until the movie is over with no control of anything, whereas in this game you can kind of quickly forget about that. It just becomes a natural feeling that fits perfectly with everything going on. And once you get to the latter half of this game and you start to see a lot of this machinery, deteriorating buildings, seeing those machines at work, and all these mechanical traps and gears, any kind of heart that this game might have had initially, which albeit wasn't much, feels like it's completely gone now. As this boy is going deeper and deeper into this limbo-esque existence, it only starts to get uglier and uglier. And of course the puzzles start to get harder as well, so you can feel the foundation of everything going on just slowly start to unravel and crumble and only becoming more hopeless, like there will never be an end to this. Ultimately, I think what you're left with here as Limbo does come to a close is a game unlike many others. It was met with universal acclaim from the moment it was released, and it's considered one of the best games of all time to this day, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that it was something wholly original. Even now when I think of Limbo, there's still nothing else that comes to mind. Not even the game that I'm about to talk about in the next video. There are similarities from many other platformers and puzzle games, but there's still just only one Limbo. And I don't want to give away my answer too quickly here. There's certainly a lot that Inside has that Limbo does not, so it's not a one-horse race by any means, but Playdead truly made a masterpiece with this one. There's nothing about it that needs to be changed. There's nothing about it that has gotten old. It's perfect in almost every way. I do want to point out though that I think a big part of loving this game could be determined on when you played it. I wouldn't necessarily call it the grandfather of all puzzle platformers, but I do think if you jumped into this after playing Inside or after playing something like Little Nightmares, the magic from this game might not feel quite the same for you as it would for someone who played it like as soon as it came out back in 2010. So it actually is a bit ironic that it is black and white because it kind of has that feel that a lot of classic movies do when compared to the new age stuff. But it's only 10 years old, so if you haven't played it yet, I think it would still be a great one to finally check out. So yeah, that's all for part 1 here. Thank you all so much for watching. Look out for part 2 to this video, which should be coming out really soon after this one, and of course that's going to be all about Inside. So I hope you're all having a great day out there, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I hope to see you in part 2.